So yeah, again, this is a critique of performance for the race itself. So like, we're not talking about gameplay here in terms of what they could do better or worse. We're gonna be looking at voice, tone, how things are said, what they say, when they're emphasizing stuff, things of that nature to give a better radio style performance. Full disclosure, I did do radio back in the day, both for on-air music work like DJing, as well as a couple of like news and sports broadcasts. So I have an ear for this. My voice isn't always great for this. I'm not always the best commentator, but I can like part of what we did was critiquing DJs on air and let them know, like, okay, so you said this, maybe say it this way, maybe do these things differently to not like go against the teams or the players, but like help them without like being mean to them, things of that nature. So let me go get a tissue. I'm gonna go quickly blow my nose, and then we'll be good to start on the next one. So the other thing to emphasize is that we are going to jump around. We're not going to watch the whole race like we just did with Sir Lancelot on the VoD review. We're going to go in and out of stuff and just like pick and choose so we can just see stuff. This is probably going to take about an hour, and then we're going to be done. So with that being said, let's kill the music. I'm not hearing anything. I think my headphones became unplugged. And they did. Excellent. Cool. And let us begin. Okay, let's get into a spot where there's going to be actual commentary.
Match of the day of the week. What do we have in store here?
Well, today we have all dungeons key sanity.
So we've got
7 crystals to open the Ganon's tower, but you have to kill all the bosses, including Aga 1, in order to kill Ganon.
Okay, so we've got MathGirl and Rive. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly or not, but we're going to go with Rive.
It is also full key sanity, which means maps, compasses, small keys, and big keys will all be shuffled throughout the world.
So we're expecting a pretty long match then, I assume.
This is Rive.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Couple things I want to point out right off the bat right there. First off, and I know I just did it myself, but I'm going to emphasize this to everyone who does this when you come with me for a commentary review. Avoid saying like, you know, things of that nature. Avoid that. Like, just do not do this in your head. I said this the last time. I'm going to use this as a example again. And this is, like, whether you are Democrat or Republican or whatever your political beliefs are going to be, go listen to the way President Obama delivered a speech. He doesn't he will, anytime you can tell that he wants to do an or a like or something like that, he will just pause. It gives a very interesting cadence to his speeches, but that's the thing. If you can't remember the word or something, just pause, and it's going to sound better than saying or anything like that. MathGirl had some ums. Also, and I just noticed this right at the end, tapped the microphone. Avoid touching the microphone. I mean, there are people that will have screens on their mics, so you don't even get the popping of the P's or anything else. I don't have that here. I'm lazy. But, like, in a professional setting, don't touch the microphone. People are going to hear it. Don't say like I just did. Don't touch the microphone. Don't try to avoid popping your P's directly into the mic or making any other noise of that nature. You want to keep your sound quality as good as you can do it to not irritate the people listening. This is a race. You're doing color commentary for it, and the most important thing that you can do is keep the flow of your talk going without anything bad. Any bad noises, any bad anything else. So just, like, use push to talk. Avoid like people hearing things that you don't want them to hear, and try and keep your audio quality as clean as possible. That will help a lot.
So we're seeing these runners go on their way. Well, Skipsy's on her way, and there goes Rellin as well.
Yep, nothing good in Link's house, and nothing good in Sync either.
We won't keep touching upon
This
the
is a very important week for these two teams, as they are already in the first and second place of their division. Only the first and second place of each division move forward, so it's this could really throw it upside down for them.
Okay, so it sounds like Rive has an accent. I don't want to critique too hard on pronunciation for them. I'm going to critique both people since I'm in this and they're a team working together. One thing I will want to point out, though, and I struggle with this myself, I talk very fast. You can talk fast, which is fine, but make sure you emphasize your words. Have strong enunciation there. For Rive, things blended together just a little, so it took a little effort to understand what they were trying to say. If you're going to talk fast crisply. If you can't talk fast crisply, aim for crisp, over speed, and slow down.
Indeed. But yeah, this is... so the thing about all Dungeons Key Sanity is that it's basically an execution and routing game, because you're pretty much guaranteed to have to full clear everything.
Okay.
And
so, few things I want to point on there. First off, I hate, as a listener, hearing people start every sentence with indeed. I'm not saying MathGirl does that, although she did start this one with indeed, but this is something I want to point out. You will get people in races where they will cue back and forth to each other, and they will have the same first thing they say on every sentence every time. Indeed, blah, 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 or absolutely, blah, 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 blah. Don't do that. Mix up your words. Mix up your intros to each other. Mix up the things you're going to say, because the more you say a single word as the start of every sentence, the more it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, and that's awful. The other thing, and this is for MathGirl's edification, this is, I think, a big thing about what we're trying to touch upon here for her performance, is modulation of voice. Rive is very consistent in tone. They sound very smooth and even. It's the radio voice, and I don't have it when I normally speak, but let's do this right now. So we're going into Topher right now with the party that's healed up. They have their weapons that are equipped, and they're ready to go. Now that's a little overdone there. That's my NPR voice, as people like to call it. But it's that thing of modulating your tone to make sure that you're not going too high and too loud or breaking out, but also like keeping things consistent sounding. And it's better for commentary if things are consistent sounding. I'm not throwing stones. I have the same problem at times, and sometimes I get too excited and my voice cracks or does other things, and it's awful to listen to. I'm speaking from experience, knowing I do the same thing, but this is something to watch out for, is keep your tone modulated. The other thing I want to point out there is I have no clue how we got into the sentence that she just said. It kind of rambled in from somewhere and then just kind of ended. Again, on my thing, I always notice it when I'm doing this. So, when you're going to start talking about something, make sure you know the thought you're going in with ahead of time, and as you're modulating your tone and taking things smoothly and making sure that you've already thought things out, you're going into your sentence in a way that the listeners that are listening to you are going to understand where you're aiming and get something out of what you're saying.
And yes, pendant required items can end up in Ganon's tower.
Yeah, that's gonna make it take it even a little bit longer if that happens. Uncle not really giving us anything, that just a couple of bombs there.
And just a green rupee on Lumberjack. Aga will be required eventually, but you like to leave that off till after Aga 2.
MathGirl
also slurs her words a little there, speaking too quick.
I guess most players try to do Aga 2, then get teleported to the pyramid, then use the mirror, Aga 1, and come outside and clear Ganon then, I guess.
Yep. Because
So I don't want to touch on, like, it's easy to think that a deep bass or tenor voice is going to sound better on radio than, like, a female voice. And that's not the case. There are fantastic female DJs out there. I've worked with plenty of them back in the day. Not now, I don't do radio anymore. But they also have, like, that smooth and modulated voice. It's a higher tone, obviously. But it is still smooth and modulated. So, like, you can do that with a female voice just like you can with a male voice, and that's the thing to aim for, is smooth and consistent and nice. MathGirl is a little all over the place, and I think it's something that she needs to practice to get that smooth modulation. So we've heard a lot of intro. Let's try and go actually find some time where they're in a dungeon so we can start talking about, like, actual action.
keys are a precious commodity in No Glitch's key sanity.
And Round set up a water walk here, so either Hobo or he's going to go over to Zora's domain. I'm expecting Hobo personally. And nope.
Saying nope, just gonna do this real quick and then probably go to check the ledge and then probably go do game.
Okay, so I have no clue what MathGirl was going for there. I'll be honest with you. It dragged on and rambled a little, and then she got interrupted by something that happened in action and didn't finish her sentence. So I have a problem with that too, at times. I will start on something and then something. I mean, if you just watch the VoD review with Sir Link-A-Lot that I just did, there were a couple times, and I heard myself doing it, where I started to say something and then something happened on screen that I decided to touch upon instead. That's bad. Keep stuff that happens in mind for what you're watching so that when you finish your sentence, you can do it afterwards. I fail at that too. It's great. So yeah, something to bear in mind. Don't ramble your sentences. Have a thought, finish your thought, go into it. And if you don't know what you were going to say fully by the time you open your mouth, you need to pause for a second and think. There was a time there where Raylan said something, then they both paused, and then Raylan commented on it after we got to see what happened. That is another important thing to do, and I've touched upon this in the last VoD review I did, last commentary VoD review, which is you don't always have to say stuff all the time. You can let stuff, like, let pauses happen and then touch upon actions afterwards. You can let the occasional little bit of gap in commentary go on. It doesn't sound bad. It can sound fine. You just want to let conversation naturally go. It's all about a natural conversation while you're doing this. We're not sportscasters like you're going to get in, like, a hockey game. In part because, you know, like, that's a whole different level of field right there for us. Now, some of our games can feel very professional, but we're not at that same exact type and that same exact level. So what we want to aim for is somewhere between that and then just two dudes or two ladies or however you want to put it, two people hanging out in a podcast. Like, somewhere in between is the commentary style that I feel sounds good for a video game race. So hope that made sense. I'm not sure if I even finished my thought there. See, I did it again.
This isn't gonna work because no moon. Oh gosh.
So that heart theater refilling his life, putting him back into a swimming state. That's unfortunate. Might as well go do Hobo now.
I hope he doesn't forget that later and it have something important.
Oh yeah, that'd be very unfortunate. That'd be Skipsy found Blue Mail in Easter in the meantime. It's nice safety.
Not often you go into, like, Waterfall Cave and only get one chest out of the two. And small Kiahara.
Maybe useful, maybe not.
Skipsy needs to be careful. Ooh, jeez. Oh my. There we
got
go.
it though.
So I feel like in this particular instance, a lot of what MathGirl was saying, since we're specifically supposed to be focusing on her, although I will talk about Raylan from time to time. Raylan is a player. Rive is the commentator. Wow. I don't feel like there's a lot of like actual commentary going on. I feel like they're just reacting to what the players are doing and then making like oohs and ooh kind of noises. Which I mean, everyone's gonna do that once in a while. You watch something and you're just like, you get that like adrenaline rush about what happens, but like you want to have like what you're saying actually matter. Sorry, I just touched my microphone, which I said you shouldn't do. 1 second. You want to have what you say actually matter and focus your commentary on really providing things that you need to say during the game. When we talk about sportscasting and radio, we talk about the two roles that commentators will spend on there. One is play-by-play, and one is color commentary. And both of those are important, and both of those provide information. So play-by-play is a person that's watching what happens, and then says what happens. Which, with this is visual here, so we don't have to do quite as much. So like, you can see what's going on, so it's not like true radio where you have to be like, well, player 35 is going down the ice, and we're going to be seeing that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say every action they're doing. They just passed off to number 33, 33 hands off to number 34. 34 sends the puck flying down and is blocked by the goalie. That's not necessary. We can see what Link is doing. But you want to add a little of that. Link-a-Lot just went into Canaria Castle. Is going to be checking the magic shops. Oh, looks like they have blah, 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 blah sitting there. How do you think about that? So that's the play-by-play part of it. And then the what do you think about that is kicking it over to the other person for general commentary and filler. As Q in chat is saying, be nice they talked about the mode style of the match to fill in dead space. That would be good too. Those are things you can do as commentary. And some of that is color. Color commentary is you talk about the players, their past experience, like what they've done, where they're coming from, things that they do when they play normally. And then color in this particular instance could be talking about the game mode and style as well. Those are the two types, and you can do both of those things, but when you veer outside of color, and when you veer outside of play-by-play, you start to get into is what you're saying actually valuable? Did you say anything of worth? And I like MathGirl. I think at times they raise some good points when they're bouncing back and forth with their commentators. But in that particular instance right there, I don't feel like anything they said had any value at a commentary level. It was very like them reacting, and I understand the impulse. I do that. But you want to emphasize the game, and if like what's going on isn't something that you can emphasize with like actual things that matter, think about whether or not you need to say it. Like, it's harsh. It sounds harsh when I put it that way, but that's professional level commentary. That's what you gotta do. So I struggle at it sometimes too. Sometimes you just get caught up in the moment. Me, wipe my nose one more time, excuse me. I do apologize. It is allergy season, so. But you can see one thing I'm doing right there is I turn off my microphone so that you guys don't hear things. That is, make sure if there's noise that you don't want people to hear or background noise or anything, you turn off your microphone when you don't need it. That's push-to-talk is great for that. So, obviously in OBS I have to actually physically turn off my microphone, but that's another thing to just re-emphasize. So let's skip ahead a little more. I don't know where we're going. We're going to go over here. We're going to go to Kakariko, apparently.
He's going the wrong direction?
Oh, he hasn't checked,
Maybe Houlihan?
Uncle yet.
I think... No.
Long way around to the witch?
Again, a lot of noises for not much said. gut, just reacting with gut without actually saying anything. That is one of those instances where I think they might be going to Houlihan and then stop and wait and be like, oh, no, I don't know where they're going. This is rather confusing. That's a way to do that without, like, the constant little noises that don't sound professional. So, and this is all stuff that, like, everyone has to practice. Like, I will go back and listen to races that I've commentated just to see the annoying things that I've said and the times where I've been like, oh, like, no. Can't do that. Cannot do that. So.
Oh, yeah, that works. That's a very long route to turn in the mushroom, but sure. Maybe he doesn't know about the portal.
Okay, so in this instance here, where she's following that up, you have, that's a very long route to take towards the house. Why? I mean, I can see it, but maybe I don't understand it. Why is that route around to get there better than something else that could have been done? And then she says, maybe he doesn't know about the portal, and then doesn't say anything. Portal where? Portal to what? Gotta finish your thoughts. Gotta give us a whole and complete sentence. Gotta focus. Focus your commentary so that what you're saying actually matters. And when you raise a point about something, you've got to finish the point. What's the better route to the house? Is it 2 steps shorter if you go the other way? When you hear me do like commentary, as you could hear me do with Link a lot there, but on the previous VoD review we just did, someone parked two extra steps away from Topher with their airship, and they actually parked it in the air. That's a waste of steps there. Is that the reason why that's not the right thing to do? What is the shorter route? What portal are we talking about? Where would the portal go? You want to provide information for people because you can't trust that who's watching it knows anything about the game. This might be the first time they've ever watched A Link to the Past Randomizer, having only played the game before or seen it in passing, and they want to know more. You have to give them the information that actually matters. And let's emphasize, I'm sorry about that with my Kleenex, let's emphasize that if you don't know, which it sounds like cheating, but if you don't know what the answer is, or why it is, or how, don't raise the point. And to be extra harsh, if you don't know that stuff, should you be doing commentary? I'm not saying MathGirl doesn't know it. It sounds like she probably does, but that info wasn't shared. But when you're jumping into the booth to do commentary for a game, you have to know the game. You cannot learn it on the fly while doing commentary. You have to know the game.
There's Dark World.
It's one you don't see used that often.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, skip a little further ahead.
That's quite a bit of work.
Ice Palace and Skullwoods for 5-6.
Skipsy and Kakariko, but we're not going to see Magic Bat just yet.
So some things I do want to credit for, and this is something that we can touch upon here. There's not a lot of them talking over each other. I think in part that's because they're not doing a lot of talking in general, which is on the far side. You can go too far in not speaking such you're not speaking enough. But they're not talking over each other. There was an instance there where they both started to say something and then MathGirl backed off so that Rive could say something, and then she waited until after he was done with his short point before she raised hers. That was good. That's very good. You do not want to talk over each other. And when you do talk over each other, make sure that you back off and let the other person go. And even if you say, like, after, sorry to interrupt, that's a good thing to do. Again, we're not, like, super professional. We're just trying to raise the bar enough, and not talking over each other and then apologizing when you do is a good thing to do. So they did that well. On the flip side, I heard a sniffle into the microphone afterwards from one of them, and they should mute their microphone when they're going to do that.
As Ram is about to find out that there is a compass on the ledge, which, of course, is pretty useless.
I was just wondering why he didn't check the goal, and then I remembered we know the goal.
I mean, the players barely checked the goals last week, and that's where it was important.
The only dungeon I still don't know the key logic to is GT.
As yeah, I know for the upstairs you only need to bring one.
Okay, so that's both very high level commentary and not a whole lot of information imparted there. So I like to talk. I force myself not to say stuff sometimes so that like not every single second of entire broadcast is filled. But I like to talk. And I like it when stuff that's valuable is being said. There was a lot of dead space there, probably too much dead space going in the other direction. And then when they did talk about stuff, they talked at such a very high level that even as someone like myself that actually knows the game they're playing, I felt like I was not following it. If you don't know the game, do you know what Dungeon TT is? I mean, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember, what is TT? Tower of something. Or was it, did they mean to say GT and it came out as TT? That began its tower. But again, I don't know because they went so quick and they didn't. Woo Bear is still curious about the world. Thank you, Woo Bear. I appreciate that. But no, like, if you didn't know, how are you going to know? So, like, you could use shorthand, but sometimes you're using too much shorthand without, like, describing it. They raised the point of key logic. I realized that we skipped half an hour of this. But let's say that you haven't raised what... Let's say you haven't raised what key logic means. Maybe it's a good time to explain it. And if you have raised it, why is this one so difficult that you don't understand the key logic there? Like, they don't really describe it enough for me to know what they're even saying. They're talking to the experienced players and no one else in the crowd, which is also bad. You will hear me when I'm talking doing commentary for FFR. If a point comes up that's important for, like, duckling level, I will raise it. That's an important thing for me, I think, to do. Like, because you can't trust that everyone that's coming in knows the game. We have a smaller audience than ALTTPR, yes, so more of our people are probably going to be new to the game than the ALTTPR people are. But you have an audience coming in, and you can't trust that everyone knows the game as well as you do. You need to emphasize important points. So, what tower is it that we're going to? Is it Thieves Town? Is it Ganon's Tower? You said it too quick for us to know, and chat is confirming we don't know what it is. And it's also, if you're going to raise key logic, even if you've described it before, we're a half an hour in, maybe you talk about it again. Skipping further ahead, we're now 40 minutes in.
Island, it looks like.
Just a piece of heart on there.
Yeah, heart container. I mean, heart container
right.
is nice.
Container. I'm a bit surprised that Skip's not doing the purple chests while they were in the neighborhood and just did Smith's.
I mean, it is a little out of the way.
That's true, but I feel like it's even more out of the way now.
Why? Apparently we're not going to find out. Like, again, if you know the game, maybe that makes sense. But why? Why is it more out of the way now? Why should they have done it before? Could they have done it before? Would it have caused a problem to do it before? I don't know. I just don't know. Comment about the heart container. Heart container is nice. They're at equal health. At what point is a heart container not worthwhile anymore? When can you just start skipping them as opposed to not skipping them? Valuable points that could have been raised there that were not. So, like, preload your thoughts. Have things you can say that help to describe the game to the people watching. It's all color at that point that helps the flow of the game feel more lively, and you're learning as you go. Like, so let's talk about this for a second. Then that's part of game knowledge. People will credit some of our original commentators as drawing them into the game. And that's because they were listening, and it wasn't just the smoothness of their voice, which I did not have there, but also the fact that they were imparting valuable information along the way. Hey, this person did this. This is the reason why you should do this. Maybe this was valuable for this. Why would you think they should do this? How is this going on? What is valuable for doing that? That's the back and forth patter that helps to keep things lively but informative. And then you watch it enough, you learn, and you learn about the game, and you're able to pick up on the valuable aspects of that game so that you can then say, come in after watching a full tournament and be like, I know the game a bit better now. I can go do this. And if you think that's not possible, you didn't see me the first time I came into the FFR. I watched 2 years worth of tournaments and everything else that was on YouTube, and then I came into the game, played a couple times, and within 2 matches of being behind the scenes doing tracking, I was doing commentary because I knew the game well enough to do commentary. I didn't know everything. I still had to ask the occasional question of chat or something, which is fine. If you're like, I think this is a better sword, but I'm sure chat will correct me on that. That is a perfect way to pitch that. But you can watch races and hopefully learn from the races because the commentators are telling you the important information you need to know. The commentary I'm getting here from both of them, it's not one or the other I'm singling out, does not tell me enough that I could learn the game from scratch and get into it, let alone do commentary for it afterwards. And I personally find that a massive failing here. Checking chat for a second. Imagine playing FFR with 30 loose items. Welcome to ALTTPR. Hey, you know what? You can do that with FFR, by the way. We have 21 key items you can put into the game, plus a bunch of extra gear that can be in there as well. And then you can just put everything to loose, and suddenly you've got 30-ish items. So that is possible to do, and I've commentated those races, and that can be interesting. You can still learn something from a race like that. So, 1 second. I'm gonna make a noise no one wants to hear. Okay. Let's continue onwards. We're gonna skip close to the end of the game soon because we've been doing this for
we
45 minutes already, and I don't want to be here all day.
Wait, you can what?
What?
You can hook dash and then still use hammer?
As far as I know, you can't use sword, but you can still use whatever item you have equipped.
Oh my, that's okay.
I think that interchange right there is like my issue with the commentary style in a nutshell. MathGirl made a bunch of noises without explaining what was going on. Then she said something that Rive didn't understand. And then when it finally was explained, I still gleaned nothing from what was said because it wasn't ever explained in any way, shape, or form. We've just seen people do a hammer dash, but she called it a hook dash, so was the hook shot involved? Was something else going on there? And then why was it impossible to do it the way they did it when apparently it wasn't, or was, or why was there confusion? There was a lot that could have been said there that wasn't, and I don't understand anything that just happened. That's a major problem. So again, this gets back to the things that I was saying. Modulate your tone. Don't become overexcited. Think about what you're going to say before you say it, and then know what your end point is going to be for that sentence so that you can make sure you impart the valuable information that must be said to the people watching. You're not just commentating for yourself, you're commentating for 50, 100, 300 people in the audience, and you can bet a good portion of them aren't going to know the game. So you have to be the point of information, and you have to explain what's going on. They do something interesting. Why is it interesting? They go and do the fake flippers. How do you do fake flippers? Why do you do fake flippers? Why does it need to be done in this situation? Why was the hammer dash important there? So that's what I'm saying. So let's skip ahead. We're going to go... Looks like... Wow, this is a long match. Let's go over here to, like, Misery Mire Desert stuff that's going on.
Right, because then you're going to feel really bad about everything.
Darkness Eastern.
With the lava chest, I agree, but I think they're not going to feel too bad about it being in Hera Big Chest, considering where they found their Hera Big Key.
Link-A-Lot raises a valuable point, and this is something that I didn't, like, I know, but I didn't, like, think about in chat, because we were just talking about this. Also along those lines, not everyone might be watching the game. They might be listening to the race while doing something else. This is very true. I have heard a lot of people say, or seen a lot of people say on Discord, that is how they actually watch a lot of matches, is they'll put it on one computer, and then they'll go do stuff on another computer while they're working, because they can, like, keep half an eye on it. They'll turn to see something that's very important that does that. But a lot of the time, they'll just be, like, working or coding or doing something else and just listening, and the monitor's, like, way over here that they can't see it at. Or, like, sometimes even on another computer behind them that they're listening to with headphones dragged around. So, yeah. But yeah, and those, like, you got to think about how people are watching. So, like, you want to commentate the actions. You want to do play-by-play and color and keep things lively. We're not getting a lot of play-by-play here in comparison to, like, some high-level commentary that doesn't explain anything.
Ron, what are you doing? You've already checked the pyramid ledge.
Checking the goal? No? What? Oh, going to Agatha Tower.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making noises I shouldn't be muted myself. I'm sorry.
Skipsy already having done these two chests. We already know, of course, that nothing's in there, but they don't.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't feel like their yep needed to be said. I'm not harping. I'm just trying to elucidate. Yep didn't need to be said because it was just yep without anything else behind it. So again, what's the point of saying that? Like, thinking about what you're gonna say. Like, yeah, but you know this is something they need to do, or yeah, they don't understand. They just won't know what's here until they explore it. Like, that's a sentence. And if you feel like that's redundant and you don't need to say it, the yep alone also doesn't need to be said.
Us commentators, of course, is talking about, or from our combined knowledge from what these racers have been doing, sometimes it's easy to forget that these racers might not know what the other racer has done. Well, hopefully, yeah. Otherwise that'd be cheating.
You know, I thought of this idea once, that it'd be funny that instead of like a spoiler log tournament, have a tournament where they don't have access to the spoiler log, but stream sniping and watching the restream are perfectly allowed.
Oh, so like in this, which was allowed in the co-op spoiler log, but then just that is on purpose to have that.
Yeah, but no spoiler log. Just like, how much do you prioritize watching your opponent versus making sure your execution is on point?
Oh yeah, your execution is gonna drop as soon as you're not looking at your screen.
Okay, so let's touch upon something that just happened there. There was a whole conversation about a game mode that... Thank you, Ale knows exactly what I was going to say. There was a whole conversation there about a game mode we're not playing that probably will never happen, and that used a lot of terms that maybe someone who is new to the game doesn't understand. Again, what is a spoiler log? It's easy to figure that out, but someone might not know it. So if you're going to raise it, you got to talk about it. And it doesn't matter here because we're not playing with a spoiler log. And then they ignored the entire bottom floor of that dungeon, including the boss fight, all of which probably should have had play-by-play, so someone who's listening to it and wants to know where someone is at in Misery Mire has no clue they just finished Misery Mire. What just happened there? I'm so confused by that. So, this... I feel like they're great friends or, commentary people that have played, that have talked together and enjoy each other's company. And that is good chemistry. But nothing that's going on in this commentary helps me watch the game at all. Nothing that has been said in the, 45 minutes that we've been watching really helped me at all. And that's a huge problem. I don't want to sound mean. These VoD reviews are meant to help you. So, this is me helping you. I don't feel like I've gotten anything out of anything that's been said here at all. So, practice a lot. Focus on the game. Focus on the players. Focus on what's going on. Give us color commentary. Give us play-by-play. Don't give us anything else. I don't want that to sound mean, but wow. So we're going to skip ahead now to Ganon's Tower. I want to see how they handle that, and then we're going to wrap things up.
And Raelian about to be off to GT. No GT Big Key guessing game today, because it was in, Ice Palace?
Yes, indeed. It was in Ice Palace. I forget
Spike
what room
chest.
it was. Spike.
Okay, this raises a point about memes. I know A Link to the Past Randomizer does memes. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Every community has their memes that they do, and that they come up. If you watch Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, they have their "Who is Zemus gonna be today" meme. But that's in every game, so they get to play that meme, and that happens. And then they describe what it is that they're discussing before the meme comes up. So it's kind of a meme. Thank you for saying bless you. But memes can get overdone. And you don't want to meme too often, and you especially don't want to meme something that isn't happening on screen. So, A Link to the Past has the Ganon's Tower guessing game, where you get to choose one of the chests in the bottom of the dungeon that's gonna have the big key, and you can actually, even in their chat, guess which one's gonna be for channel points or some shit. But it's not here. We're not doing that here. So as much as the fans might like it, anyone who's watching that doesn't get to play the guessing game has no clue what's going on. So, this is one of those things. I get the impulse to say it because you want to say it. Because it's the meme and it's what people do. But I hate it when a meme is raised that doesn't apply and has no reason to be here. I cannot be the only one that hates that. So yeah.
But, yep.
This is also a great time for them to start discussing.
And Skipsy also remembering that needs to get that 7th crystal.
What's going on in Ganon's Tower? What is the thing? Like, when we talk about Topher, we will usually emphasize that there are 4 bosses in there you got to get to get past Chaos. That you need to do these things, that resource management is going to be important, that these things play into it. We will try to emphasize at least a little of that every time someone goes in for the first time, so that new players understand what's going on. You gotta emphasize that. What's going on in Ganon's Tower? Like, I know the game, I know that they're gonna have to fight the first 3 bosses all over again, and that they have to scale the however effing many floors there are, the 9 or so. It's probably not that much, but still. But this is the perfect time to do this. I have a bad feeling we're not going to get any of it. And actually, honestly, a lot of A Link to the Past, like, commentators do this. They just take it as faith that everyone knows what this dungeon is going to be like.
Very quick.
See? What are you doing? Why are you going to Dark World?
But we get none of that. And I think it annoys me about all their commentary, honestly. It's not just these two. It's the community as a whole not explaining as much as you should.
Very good question.
Just because. Don't take that people are going to know what
Yeah.
you're doing
Mode
on
of confusion, perhaps.
I'm mirroring too low. Oi. Game, please.
So far, Raylan is 2 floors in, probably about to get to the 3rd floor of this dungeon. They've not talked about what Raylan has done once.
Raylan, alright. Making it pretty quick up here.
Finally got something about them, but up where? What floor? What's going on?
But these upcoming rooms, those are, I think, the most impressive ones to do smoothly. They can, because it's never quite the same with those enemy movements.
What enemies?
Yep.
Why? This is the... Someone could be listening and isn't
when
watching.
you face in a direction and the fire rod shoots in the direction you were just in before.
Why are these rooms hard?
Oh,
Aren't these rooms called the Gauntlet?
That's one of the
They haven't
most
called
fun
it that once for
features
anyone
about
that
the
actually
fire
knows what's going on. And then, if you call it the Gauntlet, you can then explain why it's the Gauntlet.
Alright, so... Oh, nice. Fairy drop. And full magic.
For whom? That's one of those ones where, like, if someone's just listening but isn't directly watching, who got
Alright,
fairy
so
drop?
done with the
Who
gauntlet.
got the full magic? That
and
was
time for
2
Lambo
different
2.
screens that happened on.
Meanwhile, Skipsy about to be facing Armos. Nice Landmo fight.
Why
One
was it a nice
cycle.
Lambo fight? What'd they do?
Love to
That
see
was
it.
actually a really
Again,
nice
proving
Lambo
that
fight.
The execution of these players is...
I'm glad they said something, but they didn't describe the difficulty of that. Getting 3 silver arrow shots to kill the boss that quickly, that's hard. And they didn't say anything.
really, really up there.
Yep.
Yep, again. So you can see the problems that I'm mentioning and the reasons I'm saying it. Like,
And these are some of the most satisfying rooms, thanks to the...
when we're talking about high-level commentary, we do shoot for a higher bar. We aren't ESPN, and honestly, I've heard some pretty bad commentary on ESPN, let's just be clear. But we aren't ESPN, but we want to try and get to there and not come down. So I expect a high level of good commentary. I mean, my voice isn't always the best. I don't always do everything properly, but I try and raise the bar of my own commentary so I'm not just being dumb. I can sometimes be dumb. I feel like if you can't raise the bar for commentary and provide the excellent experience people would expect from a game, you shouldn't be doing commentary. And I don't and I don't want to be mean again, but I feel like the commentary we have here isn't really helping us at all. This would be a pairing that I would say maybe you guys should work with other people and practice more. So.
Wrecking.
Indeed, and off to torches. And this is the room I was talking about that you can despawn if you spin in just the wrong place on that treadmill.
So you can cause a despawn. Is
Though
that
why
because
you
of
would
the
ever do
enemies,
that, I'm not
or
sure.
because you have too many sprites on
But
screen?
it's a thing nonetheless.
Also, what's a despawn, if you don't know?
Stranger things have happened.
And there's a way to handle that.
Indeed.
The extra sprites from Link spinning his sword can cause some of the enemies to not come in and despawn. That both answers the questions I just raised without saying a lot of words.
I think you have to hit an enemy too? Maybe not. That might just be Moldorm pushing you back. It's something spinning over quadrip boundary something.
Okay.
And Moldrum 2 now.
Yep. Just 2 quick flashes with Butter Sword. And
There's a meme
that's
again,
Moldorm
Butter
2
Sword.
down.
No validation check pickup though.
So Q in chat likes the something something leads to something. It is funny on its own. My problem is with the commentary that was around it as a whole. I feel like it's more indicative of a problem than being a funny little aside. Like, I don't like Family Guy, but let's just say the something something dark side title of their movie is funny because it's a weird tangent to their writing. Kind of works within it, but kind of doesn't. I touched my microphone again. I'm sorry. Kind of works within it, but kind of doesn't. And it's an amusing thing that they can do. Hold on one second. My cat wants up. Here you go, kitty. But it's also this thing of, like, it plays in, but there's still, depending upon how you feel about Family Guy, good writing around it. In a situation like this where I'm struggling to know, like, what level of commentary or even game knowledge is there, something like that makes me feel like, do they know? Could they know? Should they know? What's going on? So. Oh. And a cat. 1 second. And a cat. So. You can get away with it if you're top tier commentary, is what I'm trying to say. But if you're lower down, something like that, I don't think plays. So. Okay. Continue on.
Yes, Moldorm's possessions were not checked.
Happy cat. On my lap.
Alright, and off to Aga 2, which, oddly enough, we're going to be facing before Aga 1.
I'm not going to fight that, that's fair.
Because that's apparently how numbers work.
Any discussion about what
That's how they
the
work in
Aga fight is like?
agonometry anyway.
Yep. This is why we don't learn math lessons from video games, kids.
So Aga is supposed to
Especially
shoot
when
one ball,
Nintendo's
these
been
take
known
6
for
hits.
having physics errors as well, proven
No.
in Wind Waker when it says that a cannonball shot at 50 degrees will go further than a cannonball
Wow,
shot
we're
at 45
way
degrees.
off and running now. Also, don't come at Skipsy.
Isn't it the higher you aim, the further it goes?
Nope.
Until you hit 45 degrees. But yeah, like, if there was ever any doubt that
About to fight Ganon?
there is some
Anyone?
interesting physics going on with Nintendo's games, that is solid physics proof right there.
Is there a reason Raylan's going back in for Aga 1? I'm assuming it's
Not
because
that
both
much
are
of a
required,
factor
but
yet.
not getting an explanation.
Well, I remember at one point in class actually calculating that kind of stuff, and it was definitely not 5 degrees difference, but I don't even know in which direction it was.
I'm just letting this play out now.
And it all depends on, and as well, wind direction and everything. There's so much that comes into play. But 50 degrees is by default wrong.
Yeah. Unless you're having like a hurricane or something, I guess. Maybe.
Higher. This is a bit weird to talk about this on this kind of stream, but to be clear, higher is better if you have a backwind.
But yeah, so almost up to Aga 1. How did we...
That was 2 minutes. Yeah, so Ale makes the point. Someone relying on audio would have no clue what's going on. They didn't acknowledge that Aga 1 or Aga 2 was killed. They didn't acknowledge that Skipsy came into the battle. They didn't, or into Ganon's tower. They didn't acknowledge that Skipsy's already in the gauntlet. They didn't acknowledge that Raylan went into Aga Tower 1, and they only have just gotten around to it when he's almost done with it. And will they tell us why he's here?
talking about physics again?
Because cannonballs in another
really?
Legend of Zelda game was wrong.
Look, I like tangents. We have food talk in Final Fantasy all the time. It's funny, but we do that when there's stuff that isn't necessary to talk about.
But if people want to learn about physics, I'm sure there's way better videos online and on YouTube with actual physicists that can teach you. Here, all we can really talk about, is Legend of Zelda Randomizer.
Are we gonna talk about it?
Alright, time for Aga 1 after the Aga 2 fight.
So no explanation for why we're going to fight Aga 2 or Aga 1. Okay. Also missed the fact that the little desert wormies, I can't remember the name, I'm so sorry. They were not fought as well on Skipsy's side, which could have been a good time again to emphasize how hard that fight is. They got lost in their tangent while important things were actually happening at the end game. None of it's addressed. I hate that. I hate that a lot. I'm, again, not trying to be mean, but that really hurts me deeply.
Because numbers.
Yeah, if you look at this Aga 1 fight, it really feels like Aga's lost the steps since last time you faced him.
We gotta discuss
I'm
what you need to do to
15
kill Aga
balls,
again.
because I
There's a
want
good
to
time
see
now.
that someday. Well, that's a start.
Don't take it on faith.
Do we have a record on what the highest number is?
15.
How do you get the highest number?
Scrivo's gotten 15 before, twice.
What are we talking about? What's the highest
Also,
number?
Rick
We're
15.
memeing again.
2 blue balls. Those were NMG runs though, so I'm not sure with Rando. Pretty sure I've seen at least 111 blue ball. 3
Tell us
blue
why
balls.
the blue balls matter, please.
4 blue balls.
And he's doing his best.
How do you get them? When do they come up? When are they guaranteed? When are they not?
This Aga fight, though. At least both runners have to tolerate the same amount of blue balls. Unless they miss one, a regular ball. And 4 blue balls is the final answer.
Now again, if we're describing what's going on, this is the perfect time to tell us why they went there.
And
then
now it's time for Ganon for Rowland.
Yep. Start your day with whole grain breakfast.
This, of course, will be a very fast fight with the butter sword and the silver arrows. Won't take him much. He's already through phase 1 into phase 2, and that is about to end already as well.
Again, with the
Yeah.
memes. Reading off the
Ganon with
Ganon
butter
meme
sword
and
and
then
silver
butter sword again.
is easy
I get
mode.
the impact, you want to call it that, or
Let's take
the
a couple of hits
impulse,
there,
you
down
want
to
to call
3
it that.
hearts.
It's there, it's just what people call it. But, like, don't always refer to it by a meme. Sometimes refer to it as the level 4 sword. Just
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
he's past the
commentate
dangerous
it.
phases.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you hit him fast enough here, he doesn't actually do any attacks anymore.
I like that. That was actually
Exactly.
valuable. Now they didn't. Are they gonna say-
Nice.
Doors glitch, and that was close.
What is a torch glitch? Because they didn't actually tell us.
And
I know it, but they
cheese.
didn't tell us.
Oh, inching closer to the bridge, but he holds back.
And we totally missed the Aga fight
Wow,
over on the
that
other side
was-
because they didn't
that
even
was a
touch upon
thing.
it. To focus
Yeah,
on
a
Ganon.
very important win pickup by Rowland for Oeps, dat war es auch nicht.
So
Making
let's
it
discuss
tied.
what we just saw. We saw a lot without a lot being said. I feel like I'm being mean, and I'm very sorry about that. But I feel like what we got commentary-wise would have almost been better as just a Bicky broadcast without any commentary. It was a couple people chilling, having a podcast, and a game played in the background. I didn't learn anything valuable from anything that was said over the course of the hour or so that we just watched. I had to admit, we did sporadic jumping around, but still, I feel like nothing was gained, and that's a problem. So there's a lot of rules that I raised that need to be discussed and gone over again. Modulate tone, think about what you say, make sure you know the game, make sure you're commentating the game, make sure you're providing things to the people that may have missed something or may not know the game or maybe watching from another monitor, like listening and not always watching. So you've got to emphasize the game and not allow long tangents to happen if there's valuable things going on. There's no equivalent in A Link to the Past for grinding like there is in Final Fantasy Randomizer, but there will be times where each player is doing something the other one has had. That's a good time for a tangent, especially if it's a tangent that can still feel like it's focused. Talking about a game mode that isn't going to happen, or physics and cannons and things when nothing has gone on that actually makes sense for that, those are not tangents that I would have brought up. So I don't feel like this game was commentated well. I feel like both of these players could use a lot of time in the hopper with a veteran commentator to learn more. But if I heard this, I would not let either of them on the microphone during a tournament match. I wouldn't. I feel like this is the wrong setting for that. Practice. You need a lot of practice. Hopefully, what I've said will give you the information you need to go practice that. But what's here was not good. So I'm curious if anyone has any more questions or anything else before we wrap this up, but that is the VoD review here. I'm sorry it was not a nice one. Not all of them are going to be, but... So Ailmarkin suggests doing one from a VoD review that's more recent. I don't know when this one is from. Hold on, I'm going to scroll and it's going to screw things up. This is from 6 months ago. No, that's when ALTT Pro was less. This is from 2 years ago. Okay, this is not current. Fair enough. But this was the one that was brought to me that was a good example. So this is what I'm going off of. Hopefully there's lessons here to be learned. That can be stuff. If MathGirl would like me to do another VoD review of something more recent, especially one from ALTTPR from like the last... Actually, I'm not sure if they can. Anyway, so from a game, Dragon Warrior or something, from like a couple months ago, I'd be happy to do a comparison. And then we can emphasize the things that they've improved on. That would be great. I would love to do that. But for as far as this one is specifically on its own, not great. Yeah. So. Anything else? Anyone else? I know chat takes a little time to catch up to what I'm saying, so. All right. Well, I think we're good then, and we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching this. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm simply trying to point out what's going on and things that need to be improved. And hopefully this doesn't chase off people from asking for other VoD reviews. I did a nice one earlier, like a few weeks ago that... Oh, out, kitten, out. Just fell off my lap. Okay. A nice one earlier where, I didn't have to say as many bad things. But I think so. Sometimes that's how it goes. But yeah, if anyone wants to do a VoD review with me of their commentary, I'm happy to do so. Also, Woo Bear, if you're still here, I would honestly be happy. You said you had a good voice, but you feel like you're boring. I'd be happy to jump in the booth with you and see how you do on a race, and then we can maybe like pair up and see how you actually do. Sometimes it's perception. Sometimes it's you just need a little like working with someone, and then they'll draw a performance out of you. But I'd be happy to like work with you on that if you are interested. So with that, I'm gonna wrap things up here. Show off a cat one more time. Has just climbed back up. Oh, yes. And with that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.